guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited for you to meet today's guest. He is works for an independent school, but is doing some really amazing storytelling, and he's got some great advice. We're going to dive into his background as a journalist and how that helps him do his job. He's going to talk about his social media focus, which is Instagram. He's going to talk about how he has covered some events with video and what equipment he uses for that. And then also just kind of talking through how he gets content from staff. And just a great conversation. Daniel's doing great things. So make sure that you check his links for their social channels because it's really good stuff. Well branded, great authentic storytelling happening there at Sage Hill. Now, before we jump into this week's K-12 PR tip, I want to make sure that you you were invited to an in-person workshop that's happening in Washington, D.C. in July this summer. The National School Public Relations Association seminar is happening July 20th through the 23rd. And on July 20th, it's Sunday morning from 8 to noon, me and my team are going to have a 4-hour workshop. It's a social media workshop, the secret to plan, create, and execute a strategy that works. We're actually taking action. It's not just all sit and get. You're going to be taking action to set you up for success in social media for the 25-26 school year. So we're going to create some great visuals. We're going to plan your content. You are going to feel like, woo, I'm ready. You do have to register. There is a cost. It's very reasonably priced, only $100 to sign up for that extra session, but get signed up before it fills up because it will. So if you are planning to be at NSPRA, make sure you come early enough, fly in on Saturday, so that you can join us from 8 to noon on Sunday for that workshop. Okay, now let's get into this week's K-12 PR tip. And I do have in the show notes how to get signed up for that little workshop too. Okay, here we go. All right, today's K-12 PR tip. Meta has recently made an announcement that Facebook Live videos are no longer going to be archived forever on your social media pages. They're only going to keep those for about 29 days, 30 days. But they've given us some extra time to go back and download some of our old videos, our old Facebook Live videos that are on our page, because some of us have been doing Facebook Live since, our social media pages started maybe back in 2013, 2014. And because many of us are public schools with, record retention and things, I think it's important for your school to make sure that you have downloaded those videos so you have access to them. This short little video tip, or this tip, and I do have a video to go along with it, but I just kind of want to walk you through how easy it is. It really is going to take you just a matter of 10-15 minutes to download all of your videos and archive those in a local drive. Now, when you go onto your Facebook page, go on and make sure you're logged in as your school in the upper right-hand corner. And once you are and you go to your page, you are going to want to get into your settings, okay? So over on the left-hand side, I'm just going to click settings. And then on, again, the left-hand side, I'm going to scroll down to a spot where it says your information, and I'm going to click download your information. There you can select your file options. I would suggest probably downloading them in low quality format. But I'm going to unselect all of the information I want to download, and I'm only going to download my live videos because that's really what I want to make sure I have, because that's what Facebook's getting rid of. So once you select just your live videos, you are going to request that download. Now, you're going to want to make sure on the top with your file options that you go and instead of just like last week or last month, you're going to want to say all time. You want all of your Facebook Live videos, okay? You go down to the bottom, you request a download. After a period of time, mine was only a few hours, I got an email back saying that my files were ready to download. And there's a section right on this same page within settings that say available files. You're going to want to download those files. It's going to be a zipped, kind of file. You're going to have to unzip those things and then save those in a folder, and you will be set. You have all your Facebook Live videos that have happened over the years. They have a nice format where you can actually open them up and see what the date was that they published, and what the description was of the Facebook Live video. So you are set. Okay. That's going to get all your old videos. Now, going forward, if you're going to continue to do live video on Facebook, you're going to want to make sure that on a monthly basis, you're going in and again doing the same process, but you're only going to have to go back 30 days. Okay. And then you're going to have to save those in an important spot. I hope this helps. If you're looking for more help, just like Daniel, he's part of our membership group, and we talk about these questions all the time, on a daily or weekly basis. We're sharing information and giving helpful tips. So if just getting tips like this off the podcast are it just isn't quite enough, we want to support you inside that membership group. So make sure you check that out. But now let's get on to today's interview with Daniel Langhorne. Welcome to the podcast, Daniel. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for having me, Andrea.
Yeah, and this isn't going to air for a few weeks, but you guys, Daniel is giving up a afternoon of his spring break to talk to all of you and to talk to me. So I am grateful that you're here. Daniel, why don't you share your background and your role as communications and website manager for Sage Hill School?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am at Sage Hill School in Newport Beach, California. We're a non-sectarian independent school. We have roughly 560 students in grades 9 through 12 currently. That's going to change here, but I can get into that a little bit more later if you like. Really, I manage social media. I curate newsletters for parents and alumni and produce and host our school podcast, Lightning Insider. And I'm also very privileged to advise the award-winning school newspaper and its digital operations. So that I'm also a faculty member in some respect as well.
Okay. That newspaper, is that like a class or is that like an after school club? How does that work?
So we consider it academic team. So
Okay.
it is supported by the school, and it's built into the students' school day. So they twice a week they have basically free block where they can uh, elect to do all kinds of different extracurriculars. But it's not a 4 credit class, so
Okay.
I'm not grading anybody.
Okay. But you're an award-winning newspaper, so you must be doing a pretty great job.
Yeah,
That's
they're
awesome.
great kids. They're very smart.
Um, cool. All right, Newport, California. I've been there because I help a couple different schools with some social media ambassador programs. So I've driven right by your school, which is really cool. Tell me a little bit about your background. So what
Yeah,
did you go to school for and what you do
yeah.
before you joined Sage Hill?
Yeah, so I was actually in the news business for over 15 years, really going back to my college journalism days. So I was a local news reporter for all kinds of different publications, including the Orange County Register, the Daily Pilot. More recently, I was in audience engagement at a nonprofit newsroom called The Warhorse that covers the Pentagon and Veterans Affairs. And then pretty much all through all of COVID, in addition to that, my full-time job was as the editor of the Laguna Beach Independent, it's a weekly community newspaper in here in Orange County, and that was very exciting to basically in the middle of the pandemic, be covering a very active beach community, very active school district there as well. So it's been a really exciting pivot, I'd say.
Yeah. And how long have you been at Sage Hill?
I've been here just a little about 2.5 years now, so I'll
Okay.
be celebrating my third anniversary in September.
Okay. Awesome. Little bit different pace than the journalism world, or is it similar? I don't know. I mean, I was never a journalist, so
Yeah, it is different. I mean, obviously, you're a storyteller as a school communicator, obviously, but you're trying to put the best foot forward for the school and not so much investigations or like covering school board meetings and city council meetings, stuff like that. So,
yeah.
but it's you still get a lot to tell a lot of really excellent stories, especially with our amazing faculty and students.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that social media is part of your role, and we've
Hmm.
gotten to know each other because you're in our membership group, and it's fun watching all the great stories you're telling, which is why I wanted to have you on the podcast. But can you tell me like what social media channels do you use and kind of
Yeah.
how you're leveraging your storytelling through that avenue?
Yeah. So we're really focusing on Instagram, um, less, we have a smaller audience, I'd say, or less, not quite as engaged audience on Facebook.
Okay.
We've not made the jump into TikTok at this point, but we're not closing the door on anything necessarily.
Okay.
But yeah, really, Instagram is our big traffic driver.
Okay. Cool. And you guys aren't on Twitter or X or whatever you call that?
We have an X account.
Okay.
Hmm.
But you're not really active on there.
No.
Okay. And a lot of schools aren't, so that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Love it. And we're gonna make sure we give links to both your Facebook and your Instagram account so people
That'd be
can check
great.
out the cool things you're doing at Sage Hill. Um, I think as soon as they pop over, they're gonna look at it and be like, "Whoa, this is the branding and everything is just so spot on." So can you tell me your secret, kind of behind some of the branding that goes in to your social media strategy?
Yeah, I was just talking to my wife about it earlier this morning, and we're a two-person team, and we're both former journalists. My director Kelly was at the LA Times before she came to Sage Hill, and we really do run it, as like a small newsroom, right?
Yeah.
So I think our strengths are timeliness and authenticity, and I, I feel that you just get better engagement and um, more excitement, if you can talk about something that happened today or over the weekend rather than something that happened a week ago or even 2 weeks ago. I'll get some stories from faculty members, and I'm like, I wish I would have known about this a little sooner, but we still help them out, of course. But I think I'm getting to the point where they're pretty well trained, and that they'll give me, if not day of, a day after update.
Okay. Yeah. And when they find out what a great job you do in telling that story, I'm
Yeah.
sure then that gets, more
Hmm.
advocates that you're working with.
Hmm.
Um, when we were chatting a while ago, you mentioned kind of a unique struggle with social media in teenagers. You are a 9
Hmm.
through 12 school right now. You said soon that's going to change. Are you adding on some middle school years or?
Yes, so we're actually under construction right now for our middle school, which would expand the school to grade seventh and eighth as well.
Okay.
And that's going to open ideally, if everything goes according to plan, in August 2026.
Okay.
So very tight window. But yeah, I think it extends to middle school these days.
Yep.
Just the students are very social media savvy, as we all know. And I think they're just very protective, I think, of their digital footprint, understandably, in this day and age. And so, I find with if anything, it's just like building relationships. So like
Mhm.
I'll have my frequent flyers, like the kids that I can always go to. Like on Friday we had like Fantastic Fridays at lunch, and so we'll have some sort of like morale like boosting activity. So we had like henna artists like
Oh, yeah.
decorating like kids' hands and wrists, and so there's always like the usual suspects that I'll like try to go to, and they're and I definitely need something like I can count on them. But I always like obviously ask, particularly the girls, like, does this look okay? Like, do you want me to take another try at it? Um, and but ultimately, like, I have a job to do in documenting school life, and um, not everyone's exactly 100% happy all the time, but I'd say generally, like, most of the kids get it that we're there to, make them look good and hopefully famous one day.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, I mean, we're all obviously operating on tight deadlines and, we
Yeah.
take the pictures and I think we do our best if we're doing our job well. We're scanning those pictures to make sure, eyes are open and nobody's doing something inappropriate in the background. But
Yeah.
you're right. I have a lot of teenagers at my house with between my six kids. Some of them are in their 20s now. But I was just on vacation with my daughter, Daniel, just one of them.
Mhm.
And I was taking a few pictures, and she was like, I just wish Aaliyah was here to take pictures because I wasn't good enough to take pictures. And so it's true. Like they care about their likeness, even if it's not on their own
Mhm.
page, if it's going to be on the school page. So what you're
Mhm.
saying is a lot of times you'll, obviously say, hey, I'm taking some pictures for our Instagram page,
Yep.
but you'll actually go the extra step of saying, hey, here's what I took. Is this okay?
Yep.
And that feedback's,
It goes a long way. I
yeah,
find.
that's awesome. Because yeah, sometimes you're struggling with you just you don't want to build that mistrust, I guess, almost, and just like, hey, I didn't know that was getting posted. And sometimes I bet you end up taking 10 pictures where the first one was probably just as good as the 10th one.
Yeah.
Um, but
And with the group photos, it's like we need got to run something, guys. So like next time, just fix that hair or whatever you need to do beforehand.
Right, exactly. Oh my goodness. So I would love to talk a little bit about some of the videos that you've made. You've said you're not on TikTok, but you are using Instagram Reels.
Yes.
So, one specifically that I really liked, and we'll link it in the
Mhm.
show notes, is your groundbreaking video. So tell me a little
Mhm.
bit about that video, what went
Yeah.
into making that, all of the things.
Yeah. So in December, we had our groundbreaking ceremony for our middle school building and second gym. And so that was press was invited to that event. We had a couple photojournalists that I was also helping coordinate everything that they needed and giving them, names and titles and things like that. And in addition to actually doing the school social media. So that was again like going back to covering it like a reporter, right? Making sure that we got the money shot of like the shovel scooping dirt and smiling school leaders on stage, things like that. And then in the middle of that, of course, the second that our head of school stepped on stage, it started to rain.
Oh boy.
Which is, if no one knows anything about Southern California, like rain is very unusual here. So, but for some reason, every time our school has like a big a celebration or event, like the clouds open up. That's just like the one day that season where we get rain. So there were, I think, like umbrellas or something at the ready, but it's that particular reel. I actually got all the footage together that night of the event. It was a Friday night, and I was building in CapCut. Found a great template. With an Adele song in the background that um, just I think really nailed it.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, did you also capture the event with pictures that you ended up using in a different format than the reel, or did you just
Yeah.
share it via reel? Tell me about that.
So we had, I think we had some photos after the fact that we also had a event photographer taking.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it was a mix of video like clips and photos that I took. Just like little details, like the Sage Hill logo on like the construction helmet, the hard hat, and just and then also including some renderings of like what the school would look like when it's built. So just trying to have fun with it, making it like a very exciting opportunity.
Yeah. And again, as you're listening to this, it'll all make more sense when you go into the show notes and watch what Daniel put together. Did you use your phone to capture all the video and photos, or did you have a higher end camera?
No, just an iPhone.
Okay. That's important for my listeners because everybody's like, oh, I need all this equipment. And
No, you
not
don't.
necessarily. You just had your phone. Did you have any other special microphone or lighting or anything that you used for it?
No, I think we were less focused on capturing like the audio from the speeches and just more like moments and having some great music in the background. I think I- if we're looking forward to maybe the ribbon cutting in
Yep.
2026, maybe we probably invest a little more in some production value for that. But for this one, I just kept it simple,
Yeah. And
especially because I was by myself
okay.
that night.
Yeah. So you've done events similar to this, like some live events in your gym and all of that. So
Mhm,
I think
mhm,
the listeners capturing events, it really can be overwhelming. So
mhm,
you talked about, some of these money shots. So do you have some
mhm,
strategies that you use ahead of time to get the right
mhm.
photos or videos that you can then use into your video?
Yeah. I mean, talking with the event organizers ahead of time.
Hmm.
So, like, if there's some really funny, like, skit where, like, we're going to have teachers dancing at a pep rally or something like that, just trying to be prepared for that. And then we'll also usually have, like, at pep rallies, like, grade level chants or, where the kids are really going nuts and, like, chant, go juniors, seniors, and it's like those are like at this point, having been around that stage for a few years, I kind of I know how they run these events at this point.
Yeah, awesome. And then it makes you feel like you're there. And it's so much better
Hmm
than just doing like a live feed for the whole
hmm
thing, because that would be way too boring. And so you're kind of capturing the main events of the event.
Keep it short for sure. People's attention spans are short.
Yeah. Again, we'll give you some links to some of those. So you have about 560 students.
hmm
It's you're a one person shop. Well, you've got a boss.
I'm the one uh definitely like on the front line, like
Right.
create content creating.
Yep.
Like I'm really it, and my director is more of high level like strategy and like long term, more of like annual report and our signature like Sunday night community letter that goes out to our, but really it's like me and an occasional contractor
Okay.
that we bring on for photography.
Okay.
Um,
So
yeah.
so you rely on, in some cases, getting some content from staff, I'm assuming, especially for
Mhm.
social media. So
Yeah.
what are some ways that you've encouraged that content from your staff?
Yeah. It hasn't always been easy, I'll be honest with you. But it's like sometimes it just takes that like email like to our department chairs being like, help me help you guys. Like I want to make you look good. Like we always have a huge amount of content for athletics. Like and I do have a part-time athletic counterpart, but yeah, it's just really building relationships with our faculty, especially if they're going off campus to conferences or contests, debate, DECA, and Molly UN. And I think they're excited to show what they're, accomplishing. So
Yeah.
it, it, it's, I'd say it's still a work in progress. I probably need to take some of your advice and doing more of those one-on-one touches with some people.
Yeah. But I think everybody related well to that because it's just like in the webinar that John Casper just did. It's like you got to ask your staff, you got to ask them again, and you
Mhm.
never stop asking. And I think also, those special events are awesome, but it's
Mhm.
also overwhelming for that staff member because usually they're like trying to keep track of a bunch of kids and, there's a lot going
Mhm.
on. I just always like to remind them, I just really need one picture. Like, and that's really all. And you can wait until afterwards and then you can kind of describe what you guys did at that event. But we can keep it simple. And then, you just mentioned the word relationships, and that's what it's about. I mean, you still have only been there 2.5 years, so you're still building those
Yeah.
relationships. And so, you can't be everywhere, but everybody does have a cell phone, so hopefully they can snap
Yeah.
that picture. Daniel, do you use, I know you obviously have the students with your award-winning newspaper. So
Mhm.
I've got a question about, do you ever use those students to help capture some stories that you also share on social media?
Yeah. That's something we're actually actively looking into. I've talked with a couple students about getting more involved with the podcast and specifically video, vertical video creation. Um, we tend to gravitate more of like a job shadow
Okay.
rather than an official internship, just for some HR purposes
Yep.
here in California. But it's something I'm actively talking with students about getting more getting their voices, their work into the channels.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So I like to always kind of wrap up with like, what is your best social media tip? And you've already given us a ton, but if you were to have to name like one tip, what would it be?
Yeah. Um, I mean, it's just like being a school PR uh, pro, it's really like being a local news reporter. You um, be organized, make sure your calendar is well updated and um, just be curious, about what's going on in your community, why people are interested in what they're doing, whether it's, robotics or instrumental music or theater. There's so many like rich stories that I find, and obviously you and I know people have talked about themselves, so especially kids. So I'd say beyond that, just try to be like, and going back to being timely, being authentic,
Yeah.
especially with whatever you're posting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's always something awesome happening at a school. You just got to go find it. And
Hmm.
I think in some cases too, not worrying about having the perfect coverage or the perfect shot, but just authentically, you
Yeah.
said it, be authentic, and be timely. And that
Hmm.
doesn't always mean that it's going to be perfect, but it's going to be effective and people are going to engage with it, I think.
Also, if you think you're close enough for the photo or the video, I was told takes two big steps forward.
That's
And,
good
and
advice
that's
because I always say
actually
zoom with
how,
your feet, but so you're
yep,
saying if you think you're good, take two more steps. All
yep.
right. I like that advice. That's a good one, Daniel. Um, so before we go, what would be the best way to stay connected to
Yeah.
you? If somebody had additional questions, how should they reach out?
Yeah. They can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That I'm pretty active on there. And then I'm also on Blue Sky, just D Langhorne dot bksy dot social on Blue Sky.
Okay. We'll
Use that.
include both of those. And is it okay if I include your email in case anybody wanted to just reach out via email?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
Langhorne D's and Daniel at sagehillschool.org.
Okay. And that's Langhorne with the E at the end. So, but we'll also have that in the show notes. Well, keep up the great storytelling. You're going to have a lot of great stories to tell over this next year and a half or so
Mhm.
as you get ready for a new school and to get even more kids there to celebrate. And hopefully, we'll be able to connect in person because last time I was there, it didn't work. But we will do that in person eventually as well. So, thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you, and thank you for all you and your team does to support, school communicators. It really is a huge asset, and I can't recommend the membership highly enough to anyone listening.
Awesome. Yes, jump in. We would love to hang out with you even more. If you love this podcast, then you really love that group. Um, and we'll be back next week with another fabulous guest. I know it's getting crunch time, everybody. We're getting into all the celebrations and graduation and
Yep,
everything, but you got this. We
we
are in
got
this
this.
together. And until next time, keep telling those stories. Bye-bye.
Bye.